It looks like India and Pakistan are entering into a war, but Bitcoin doesn't seem to care. Is this a signal for you to buy because Ethereum is about to pump towards $9,000? Is Altseason around the corner? I will explain to you exactly what's gonna happen next in this video.
My crypto paradise.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Salman from My Crypto Paradise. In the previous video that I have recorded for you around 48 hours ago, we have been discussing that Bitcoin on ultra low time frame is bullish, and we will be starting a move to the upside to retest these two resistance levels. As you can see, we have done exactly that, and in the previous video I've also told you what is needed to see in order for the Bitcoin price to start reversing from the resistance to the downside. As you can see, we have not gotten that because we have been retesting this horizontal trend line for 3 times, and on the 4th we have broke to the upside, and you can actually learn from this very well how the proper reclaim looks like. Okay, so take a look at this. What you need for a reclaim of any resistance or support is a strong breakout to the upside, okay, and then a retest, okay, and it can either be a retest of the horizontal trend line of a resistance or a support that you have successfully analyzed for yourself using Fibonacci retracement levels, or it can be the moving average trend line, which we have gotten at this case after the retest. This is actually changed right now into a support, okay, and because of that we have started to move to the upside, and the small bullish trend continued to the upside. This is also the reason why with Paradise Family VIPs we have not gotten since the $105,000 price any proper strong confirmation to go aggressively more into short positions. You remember that in January 30 with Paradise Family VIPs we have not only opened our short position, but we have also been selling all of our altcoins and everything on spot right at the top, and because of that we have the luxury right now to start accumulating altcoins at the best prices, because we have been holding, unlike others, our bearish stance for a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. And in today's video we will be talking about altcoins a lot because they are starting to look very interesting. Is now a time to buy altcoins? We will be talking about that, but first let's check out the Bitcoin's macro trend, ladies and gentlemen. Did something change for Bitcoin? Let's see. What are the probabilities on this chart? How does it looks like to you? Are we bearish or bullish? Well, for me it's very simple. As I'm telling you all the time in these videos, until we can reclaim the $102,000 I am still bearish, ladies and gentlemen, and I do believe that we are moving right now in a zigzag pattern and we are about to hit $44,000. It is a simple logical idea that we have spectated with Paradise Family VIPs early, and thanks to that we have been able to make a loads of money on these drops. As you know, we have been very bullish right here since $19,500. We have been riding this impulse to the upside, but after we have spectated that we are finishing the trend inside of an ending diagonal, also here for free I've leaked for you the insider information that we are starting a new bear trend and we are about to crash. And since January 30 I've been telling you we will be hitting two most important levels, $77,000. Then I told you we will have a pullback to retest this structure at $93,000, and then we will start moving down towards $44,000. However, right now we are already at $100,000. We have went above this structural resistance and Fibonacci sequence level at $93,000. However, right now we are approaching the final most important 1.618 Fibonacci retracement level, ladies and gentlemen, at $102,000. I do admit that this B wave of this zigzag pattern ABC is already pretty extended, and for my buyers that I'm updating you about since January 30, to be correct, we need to stay below this level. If we will start to reclaim this resistance the same way we have done it on the ultra low time frame, big breakout and then bullish confirmation that holds above the horizontal trend line, then we will need to recalculate. However, right now we are still copying the thing that happened in 2021, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody is talking about this, okay? You know that I have been updating you about this since the beginning. If you have been around 20 with us in Paradise Family VIP or right here just in our free Telegram channel, back then I have not been recording the videos for you yet, but in Telegram we have been updating you that we are going to the upside, and if you have been around in Paradise Family VIP you have been taking profits with us right here. And as you can see, we have done exactly the same thing. We have finished the trend with an ending diagonal, then we have broken broken to the downside below it, the same way we have done it right here, broken to the downside, and then we had one more retest of the triangle, of the ending diagonal, and then we finally started the big drop, okay? And right now, if you take a look what's happening, all right, it's pretty similar, right? We have broken to the downside, and now we are retesting it the same way we have retested it in 2021 right here, ladies and gentlemen. However, right now the price action is more stretched, okay? It's because there is more market participants and everything just takes much more time than it took in 2021 or even in 2017. That was even much faster. It was a very fun time, wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? So yeah, right now we just need to understand, okay, everything takes a little bit more time. That's why you need to practice even more patience, ladies and gentlemen. And as a professional traders, we need to wait for confirmations before we do any decisions, okay? Right now, the highest probability play is that until we can successfully reclaim this resistance, we are not starting a new bull trend that will take us towards $240,000, where we will go, ladies and gentlemen. But before that, I do believe we will need the correction, okay? So before we can reclaim this resistance level, I am still calling this chart a bearish chart, ladies and gentlemen. And I do believe that we can start rejecting to $44,000 if we will not be able to reclaim the $102,000, ladies and gentlemen. Few things that are important are that the weekly candle that we are closing right now in 3 days, 8 hours, it cannot close above the shooting star, okay? In the previous video, we have been analyzing this shooting star candlestick pattern. That is a bearish candlestick pattern. However, this candlestick will be invalidated if we will close this candle above it, okay? So we need to close a weekly below $98,000. As you know, that is also from lower time frames very important resistance area, ladies and gentlemen. So if we want to even increase the probability points, ladies and gentlemen, we need to close this candle below $98,000, okay? So that's for the invalidation. Also, I do believe that very low probability is a new macro trend right now from the current stand because of how we have been analyzing this A wave of the zigzag on the lower time frames, ladies and gentlemen. You know that because we have been analyzing all the sub waves. This was a motive wave, okay? That means this is an actionary wave and the trend is going to be downwards rather than upwards. If this was the correction of the whole macro trend, of the whole impulse, ladies and gentlemen, of the whole impulse that we have started since $19,500, this wave would need to take some kind of a corrective pattern mode, okay? However, it was made in an impulse, so if we have done the calculations correctly, it just increases the probabilities that going above the all-time high, above $109,000, is with lower probability. For example, right here we are creating the fourth wave, right? The fourth wave is a corrective mode wave, and as you can see, we have been doing that inside of the triangle that we have been updating for you. That is a corrective mode wave. However, this was an impulse, not a corrective mode wave, so it decreases the probabilities. Yeah, so the macro of Bitcoin, I do believe, is clear right now, and the important question is what needs to happen with Bitcoin in order for the altcoins, including Ethereum, we create the perfect environment for them to start pumping to the upside. So we will be looking at few things, all right? We will be looking at the Bitcoin price, and we understand that we are below resistance right now, and we will be also taking a look at Bitcoin dominance. Together with that, I will go to our website mycryptoparadise.com and we will take a look at this Bitcoin dominance cycle cheat sheet, all right? So what we need for the altcoins to either go into a full alt season or at least start finally increasing a little bit are two things. If we want a really full send alt season, we need Bitcoin to start breaking above the previous ascending trendline support. It worked like a support right here, so we need to break above $100,000 basically. We need to reclaim it. Together with that, we need the Bitcoin dominance to start decreasing, right? So Bitcoin needs to go to the upside and Bitcoin dominance needs to decrease. What does it basically mean is that new money are flowing into the market, and it's not flowing just into a Bitcoin but also altcoins. That is why the Bitcoin price is going to the upside, but the Bitcoin dominance is not actually increasing, it's decreasing, but because all other altcoins are also getting a bigger market cap, right? So new money are flowing in. That is absolutely the most brilliant thing that can happen for an absolute alt season. The other scenario for just altcoins to be at least increasing a little bit and having some new nice trends, what needs to happen? Bitcoin needs to be stable, all right? So it either needs to start consolidating below that $102,000 $102,000 resistance, which is higher probability, and then we will basically go to the downside, or it needs to break above the $102,000 and then consolidate above it, okay? Turn it into support, and then probably we will start a new trend together with the altcoins. So basically Bitcoin needs to be stable. It shouldn't drop, neither pump, okay? Because if it pumps, there's a high probability that Bitcoin dominance will pump as well, and we don't want that, right? So the second scenario for altcoins to start increasing, to have some new nice trend, is for Bitcoin to stay stable, consolidate, and for the Bitcoin dominance to decrease, okay? So right now let's calculate what are the probabilities again. And ladies and gentlemen, really speaking about the probabilities, because we are professional traders, you need to understand what does it mean, all right? Probabilities are just a probabilities, not a certainties, okay? That is why as a professional traders, we trade with clean strategies and tactics that assure when we are wrong on our trading ideas, we lose as little money as possible, and when we are correct on our trading ideas, we maximize our profits as much as possible, all right? This is the only way how you can sustain long-term profitability in your trading journey. So remember, probabilities are just here for you to give you some probability points, and then you decide how much you risk in your trading ideas. I'm recording these videos for you to get better, so I don't want to see nobody here who is not respecting the rules of a professional trader, all right? So let's right now speak about Bitcoin dominance, how the probabilities are looking for a rejection, okay? So we are at very important resistance at 0.786 Fibonacci retracement level, ladies and gentlemen. Below this resistance right here, very strong resistance. Together with that, we are approaching the resistance with a decreasement of volume. That decreases the probabilities that we will break through this strong resistance, okay? What you want to see is an increasement of volume as you approach any resistance or support. That will increase the probabilities that there is enough strong power and momentum for the price to go through it, okay? Another thing is for Bitcoin dominance, what supports Bitcoin dominance to go down is this stochastic RSI indicator. You can see we are in an overbought area, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting to cross into bearish mode right here because the blue line is starting to cross the red line, so that is an early sign that probably this resistance is going to hold. RSI indicator, you can also see that we are having a bearish divergence because we are creating a higher high right here but lower high on RSI. Together with that, we are at 0.70, we are in an overbought area, and that's just increasing the probabilities of the Bitcoin dominance to start rejecting. However, then it also really depends on what the Bitcoin will do, because if Bitcoin will start getting rejected together with the Bitcoin dominance, as you can see right here, Bitcoin dominance decreases, Bitcoin also decreases, and alts once again doing absolutely nothing and staying stable, okay? Another thing that is important for a perfect environment for altcoins to start a new alt season or a new bullish trend is that you want to start accumulating altcoins when nobody else does, all right? And when we take a look at Google Trends, we can see that right now the attention is elsewhere. It's not on altcoins. You can see that we are below the 25 points, which was always a great point to accumulate after a prolonged bearish period. So you have a bear trend, then you are below 25. It's a great time to start going and accumulating altcoins. Something similar happened right here in 2024. We have been below 25 and then we surge above it. And if you have been in Paradise Assembly VIP in December 2024, you know how we have been killing it. Then we have been selling everything, and now we are back at below 25 points, ladies and gentlemen. So the attention is elsewhere. The retail doesn't have an attention on altcoins. That means basically that once the altcoins will start to go to some big bullish trend and start breaking the previous highs, it will attract attention, okay? And there will be enough volume from the retail to keep on pushing the price to the upsides, and that basically gives you more profit and gives you enough liquidity then to sell at the top also. So from this perspective, this is a great environment, ladies and gentlemen. But what you also need is the negative funding rates, ladies and gentlemen. And if you take a look at our website mycryptoparadise.com, we will speak about the funding rates. What you also need is greed being in a neutral or fear mode to go absolutely aggressively when you know that most of the people are at fear mode and we are at the major support zones, yeah? So that's just giving you more probabilities. If that's gonna happen, that's just giving you more probability points, and you know, okay, I can go more aggressive, yeah? Based on your trading strategy, based on your trading tactics. Another thing, funding rates. You want to make sure that you are not trading with the majority, because if you are trading with the majority, a majority of the people are going to be in the long positions. Once the price is starts to move to the upside, they will start taking profit quickly, right? And once loads of people start to take profit quickly, it will basically decrease the potential of the upside, right? Because there will be pressure on the bullish momentum. So you want to see negative funding, all right, on as much altcoins as possible. That again just increases the probabilities. If more altcoins, that's much better for you, right? So you can see right here on our website the accumulated funding rates. Some altcoins have the negative funding rates, but most of them have positive funding rates. What does it mean? When there is a positive funding rate, it means that the exchange where you see the positive funding rate is having more long positions in the market opened than short positions, all right? So you are looking at altcoins that are in negative funding. Another confirmations you are seeking from analyzing others, okay? Others dominance and also others chart. We will not go through others dominance. I will leave it for the next video probably because we don't have much time. Right here I just want to tell you that the weekly candle needs to close above this moving average trend line for us to create some nice bullish trend on a macro time frame, on a swing time frame. So once we close a weekly candle that is closing in 3 days and 8 hours above this moving average trend line, it will increase the probabilities, okay? And another thing is analyzing properly Ethereum, the king of altcoins, ladies and gentlemen. So basically what we can see on Ethereum on a weekly time frame, let's just go quickly through it. Let's analyze the price action since 2021. The same way as Bitcoin, we created a nice impulse, right? This is the third wave, fourth wave, and then fifth wave finished right here. A classic impulse, as you know from our website, 5 subwaves, ladies and gentlemen, and then we started a corrective mode. And it can either be like a zigzag, simple zigzag, or any of these corrective modes that you can find on our website. So right here, we have actually created a simple zigzag ABC that finished at the previous high of the end of the first wave, ladies and gentlemen, right here, slightly above it, and then we started a new trend, okay? And this trend taken the economical worldwide situation took much more time than the one we had in 2021. So the first wave, this first macro wave, took a place of leading diagonal, ladies and gentlemen. That is a motive mode wave, ladies and gentlemen, subdivides itself into 5 smaller waves. As you can see, we have done that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here it finished. Then we have created a simple secondary wave, then the most impulsive third wave, then the fourth wave alternated the second wave, because as you can see here, we have a deep corrective fourth wave, and then we finished that with a truncated fifth, simple one that really mirrored the current economic situation. And after that, we have started a corrective pattern, and it's actually an expanded flat, okay? We have created expanded flat that subdivides itself into 3 smaller waves, A, B, and the prolonged final C wave that goes beyond the end of the A wave. Again, if you are educating yourself on our website for free, mycryptoparadise.com, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A clear flat pattern, ladies and gentlemen, where the B wave goes beyond the previous high and the C wave goes beyond the bottom of the A wave. And right now, because we understand that the C wave is subdividing itself into 5 smaller waves, unlike the A and B wave, we are having the luxury to calculate the subwaves and understand when the C wave is going to be finished. There are 2 possible scenarios that we have calculated with the Paradise team on lower time frames. I will not bother you with the lower time frames, so just let me show them to you. First scenario, alright, so this is the first wave, second wave, third wave finished right here. Right now we are having a fourth wave, and fifth wave will finish right here, much lower at around $757. The second scenario is that we are bottoming already right here, and we have created first wave, second wave right here as well, but third wave finished right here. This was our fourth wave, and this is already a fifth wave that finished right here at 1.272 Fibonacci retracement level. We have created here a bullish hammer candlestick pattern, and right now we are starting a first wave, then we will have a second wave, and we will start a new trend, ladies and gentlemen. Confirmations. Definitely the highest probability points will be for reclaiming this moving average trend line. Another one will be watching how we will be making the secondary wave. I want to see low volume, I want to see exhaustion, I want to see retail going aggressively into shorts and whales starting to accumulate on spot. For the first scenario, obviously it will be here going and seeing how the support is reacting. In both ways, however, if we start to go to the upside, ladies and gentlemen, I will right now reveal to you the targets that will probably surprise you, and we will take a look at what happened in the history, ladies and gentlemen. In 2017 we have been creating something similar. There was a prolonged period of no action at all, and then we have started to form from this contracting triangle, ladies and gentlemen. And after we have start reclaiming this triangle, breakout and retest, we have targeted 3 times the depth of the triangle. So we have measured the depth, alright, and we have put it once, twice, 3 times, ladies and gentlemen. Here was the top at around $1,500, ladies and gentlemen. If we do it for the current market price, for the current structure, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that something similar is happening, but on a much larger scale. So basically, if I remove everything just so you can see everything clearly, we have a prolonged period of no action, same as we did right here. And then we started to create a contracting triangle, right? And right now, if we start breaking to the upside above this triangle, ladies and gentlemen, we reclaim it with a great confirmations. I will be actually targeting the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, 3 times the depth of the triangle. And from the macro perspective, let me show you where it's gonna put us. Okay, so this will be the first target, second target will be right here, and the third target will be around at $19,000, ladies and gentlemen. We will definitely keep you updated with the Paradise team. I also wanted to show you USDT dominance, but we don't have much time for that, so I will leave it for the next video. As you know, I'm recording for you every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, so I will see you on Saturday. Cheers.